Hey, business owners, what area of your business is stopping you from gaining complete control of your business? Head over to goalstoresults.com slash quiz to find out. That's goalstoresults.com /quiz. And I will share with you the roadblock that is stopping you from taking your business to the next level you deserve. We also are actively looking for guests on this podcast. Do you have a success secret about your business journey to share? Service-based small business owners, head over to goalsresults.com and click on the podcast menu item. I would love to promote your expertise to our amazing audience. Now, on with the show. Hi there. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of my podcast, Goals to Results Success Story. I'm your host, Dennis Riley. Today I have with me Nick Prefontaine. Hello and welcome to the podcast, Nick.
Hi, thanks for having me, Dennis. I'm excited about our chat today.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it as well. So tell me about yourself and your business.
Sure. So, when it comes to how I got started in my origin story, I always go back to a fateful day in February, um, in 2003. I was actually at ski club with my friends, and going up the chairlift, we noticed that it was very icy because it had been raining. Needless to say, it wasn't my first go around on a snowboard. I knew what I was doing. So I got to the top, buckled into my snowboard, took a breath of that crisp winter air, and confidently charged towards that jump with all my speed. And then going up to that jump, I caught the edge of my snowboard on the snow going up to the jump. And that's really, Dennis, the last thing that I remember. Uh, I was told that I landed on my head and I wasn't wearing a helmet. The hospital wanted to bring a helicopter to the mountain to rush me to the hospital. However, they couldn't because it was too windy. So they sent in an ambulance. Out of the, I don't know, the handful, 5 or 6 paramedics on the staff, there was only one who could intubate right on the spot. And because of the severity of my injuries, I needed that to be able to breathe. Luckily, there were several things that broke for me right that day. He was working. He showed up at the mountain that day. Once I got to the hospital, the doctors told my parents that even if I was able to come out of my coma, there was a good chance that I probably wouldn't walk, talk, or eat again. Now, my parents did this. Another thing that broke right, I guess you could say, broke right for me during that fateful day. The doctor came into my room while I was in the coma and started sharing the information, and my parents stopped them and said, "No, no, not here, not in front of him." They realized that even though I was in a coma, I was still taking information. So they asked them to step outside and then share it with them. And I credit that to being that I didn't know any different. In other words, I just got up and treated it once I was able to. I was in a coma for 3 weeks. I don't remember a month. However, once I came out of the coma, I wasn't able to walk, talk, or eat again. I had to get all that back. I had to learn all that back. And my recovery and the speed of my recovery, I credit it a lot to my parents. Well, a big part of it to my parents. I was the one who did the work, yes, but my parents, and they knew the power of the mind, so they didn't want that information getting into me while I was in a coma. So I just got up and treated it like any other situation. And once I came out of my coma, I ended up. It was a goal from as early as I could communicate running out of the hospital less than 60 days later. After running out of the hospital, wasn't like my work was done. I had to continue to go to outpatient therapy for another 6 months, along with being tutored all summer long in order to continue on to high school with the rest of my classmates, which I did. Now, I grew up in a family real estate business. So while I was in high school, what my dad was starting to play with the idea of having someone, a bird dog, if you will, go and knock on the door of pre-foreclosure doors. People that have received their notice of default from the bank. So I was starting to get the itch, and I got the itch from reading the first book that introduced me to real estate, other than being around it my whole life, was Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant. That was the first book that really got my wheels turning about the wealth creation power of real estate. So I said to my dad, I came to him and I said, I want to get involved. And right around that time, they were, like I said, having someone playing with the idea of having someone go and knock on the doors. I ended up doing that throughout from when I was 16 throughout the rest of my high school career. And I would go and I had to go to school during the week. So I would I'd knock on the weekends and holidays usually anywhere from 50 to 60 or even 70 doors was a high that I did one time. And I knock on the doors and try to set up meetings for our investor to meet with them about potentially buying their house. Now, if you fast forward a little bit, I was a realtor. I got my real estate license after I got out of high school. I no longer have it though. And in 2014, I started helping my dad with marketing his properties as he was getting, and then working with, as a result of that marketing, working with all the buyers that were calling off of the marketing that we generated. And that led me really to what I'm doing today, which is still working hand in hand with our buyers, our rent to own buyers, not conventional buyers. So rent to own, usually it does for our programs, does require a down payment of anywhere from 3 to 10%. And then once they do that down payment during the process, uh, we actually get them connected with a great credit enhancement company that's going to get back to us all and let us know how long it's going to be until they're mortgage ready. And then we'll make sure to give them plenty of time with the lease to become mortgage ready. And part of the one of the benefits of the whole deal, the rent own deal, we're treating them just like buyers throughout their whole journey. It's usually 2 years, can be a little less, can be a little more, but it's usually 2 years. We're treating them and they're behaving just like buyers. So if a toilet's clogged, they don't call us to fix it. Um, they're taking care of all maintenance, repair, and upkeep over the course of their term. And they're also locking in their price with us day one. So as the market appreciates, and we've seen that over, geez, the past 10 or 15 years. So as the market appreciates, they're capturing that equity so that by the time they do go to get their own loan, they're usually either making out where it's slightly above the market, slightly above where the price that they have locked in, the price doesn't continue to change. So now with that is a process, that the buyer process, I like to call it, what I've kind of fine tuned over the last, geez, you could say 7 or 8 years. Now I'm able to work with our associates to do the same thing in their business. So it's really exciting.
Now, how is you said you did the marketing. What kind of what do you think with the marketing, and is it like one maybe thing that took you to the next level with the marketing? Did you do something that kind of just moved it up?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the marketing, when you're marketing conventionally, as I'm sure you're aware, maybe you're not aware, I don't know, or the listeners, when you're marketing conventionally, you're only really going after a small pool of buyers. It's 18 to 20% of the buyers. And really with lending tightening even more nowadays, it's even less. So the other expanded pool buyers, the call it 70 or 80%, I'm not saying they're all good in there. However, there's a large portion in there that have a the income that, one, what whatever. Um, they have the income to support the home, and for that, we're usually looking to make sure that they make at least 3 times the monthly cost of the home, which means their debt to income ratio will be below 33%. And then, just as important, equally as important, is the down payment. We want to make sure that they have a down payment of anywhere from 3 to 10% of the purchase price. And that's not that's not a selfish reason. That's not for us. Like, oh, we want the money. That's for them to be successful. So what we found over the years is the higher their down payment, the better chances they have of being able to fall through and get their own loan. And we're seeing a success rate of, gosh, it's probably 80 or 90% of our rent to own buyers do go forward and purchase a home. So, and it's credit to our whole program that we put them through, because we meet with them for a buyer's meeting, which my assistant and I Sue do. And we outline the steps we laid out for them, pathway to success, what they need to do to be successful and be able to qualify and get their own loan at the end of the deal.
Now, as with any business, I'm sure there was a fork in the road moment in 2020. Do you have one?
Yes, sir. The fork in the road moment, I can remember it. I can actually remember it back in March. So we were actually in the process of getting ready for getting ready to hope, because we have two annual events that we host every year. One's called the Summit, that's coming up the end of March, beginning of April, and then we have the other one, which is the QLS, which is in September. We had our event in March. We had our event coming up, and we had people coming in, associates, investors from all over the world, all of the country, all over the world coming in for that event. We already have like hotel rooms booked. We had big rooms all set. We are going to have everyone in a live event. And then the world shut down, as you know. We There was a pivotal point. There was a pivotal, not pivotal because that's not a word, but there was a pivot. It was a pivotal point in 2020, March of 2020, when we had to be like, all right, are we going to just cancel it or are we going to do it? We had never done a virtual event. So we just doubled down and figured it out. Uh, we had we did the virtual event from our office, and I'm actually in that office right now, in our conference room over there. Um, all of us crammed into the conference room, not knowing what we were doing with virtual and cameras and everything like that. But we did it. We did that. We did that event, and then for as far as virtual for the QLS coming up in September of 2020, we did that virtual as well. We actually just held our first live event this past September in the ballroom here in Newport, Rhode Island in 2022. And we have our first summit coming up that we're going to be doing live with in person with people coming up the end of March. So it's yeah, that was a pivotal moment. I can't say that word. That was a pivotal moment.
Now, did you think would you guys then adapted to that once you went virtual? How did what happened with the results?
That's interesting. In a couple of different cases. So I can talk about it. Let me talk about it from just the rent to own buyer standpoint. When we go all virtual, is really there's less control. So a big part of our buyer process is we'll have them come into the office and meet with us for a buyer's meeting, we like to call it. And that buyer's meeting, very simply, is just we get a chance to meet. Up until that point, they know loosely, excuse me, what the program is, what's expected of them, and everything like that. But we're going over everything, numbers, we're going over everything in more detail, what they're responsible for, what we're responsible for, everything like that. That buyer's meeting is most effective and it's best when we do it in person. Um, I'm not saying it can't work if we do it virtual, but it's most effective when we do it in person. We've always done it in person, dating back to 2013, 2014. And it's really, even if we never see them again, which often we communicate with them and work with them over the course of their deal. But if we never see them again, that's very important because we get to look someone in the eye because you and I and I'm sure you're a great man, Dennis, but communicating here virtually is different. If you're going to be doing a financial investment and working with someone over the course of 12, 18, 24, 30, or 36 months, you want to be able to look them in the eye and go over everything in more detail and come to a point of understanding. We were not able to do that during during 2020, at least the initial, definitely the spring. We just weren't able to do it. And we had to do this is kind of I'll give you a success, but we had to because out of necessity. One of the people that we met with in May of 2020 is literally cashing out and getting their loan. I think it's coming up on Friday at the end of this week. They're going forward and getting their own loan. I hate to say it, but that's kind of it does work, but with the rest of what we found, because we weren't able to meet and have that understanding, it just I don't know, it's very it's there's a gray area there. It's hard. I'm not saying it can't work, but it makes it harder. Um, but we're still seeing success doing that. As I said, someone's getting their loan at the end of this week.
Cool. Now, so speaking about those people getting loans, what's the characteristics of the people that you work with?
Usually it's interesting because usually we want to make sure that because part of the process is they go to the house and then if they're interested they get a couple of forms back to me. What we're making sure, and it's a non-negotiable, is that they make at least 3 times what the monthly price of the house costs. As I said, that means their debt to income ratio is below 33%. And really, that's even stricter than banks nowadays because banks will give out loans for even higher than that. However, we like to have that benchmark to make sure we're setting them up for success. And even though if it's close, even though if they have a little less than 3%, but they just want to get in and then over the course of the term they'll get over the 3%. We found that you can't do that. And it's not setting them up for success. It's not we're not being the mean landlord saying that. It just it doesn't work in our experience. Something always happens. So we got to have that at least that 3% down initially. And then oftentimes a lot of our buyers are coming with um up to 10% or even more than 10%. We've had people come to with 20% down and that gives them the strongest chance that they're able to get their own loan, really. And then if they get over 20%, we'll consider even owner financing it to them where they never have to go to a bank.
Cool. Now, so this has been really insightful here, but what anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I'd like to give away. We have a free book that we could give away. It's the New Rules of Real Estate. And I'm actually a co-author on that along with my brother-in-law Zach and my dad Chris. They can get your listeners can get a free copy of that by going to, and when I say free, I mean 100% free. So they're able to go there, go to this website. It's wickedsmartbooks.com / Dennis. And they're able to go there. We're going to send them a book 100% free, meaning that we're going to send them the book and we're going to pay for the shipping. So there are a lot of, as I'm sure you know, there are a lot of people out there who say, yeah, we'll give you a free book. And then when you inquire about it, they say, oh, no, you got to pay the shipping. So we're all about free. And that that's what we'd like to do. Get the word out there with what we're doing. And it's certainly changing the way people purchase real estate. Now, if any of your listeners is interested in learning about our trademarked three payday system, they can go to our website, smartrealestatecoach.com /masters class, and they can learn. I touched on it a little bit today, but if they're interested at all, they can go and learn about how we buy and sell on terms, and also that trademark three payday system.
So, what do you say to someone who's listening right now and they get their ears a little perked and they like, huh, they're on the fence? What would you say to them?
Well, I'd say it's certainly not a fit for everyone, Dennis, and I'm not promising to that we're going to be the magic pill for everyone. However, if it does pique their interest, they'll be able to learn about our system and our process by going to that website, smartrealestatecoach.com /masters class, and learning. And if by the end of the presentation, that master's class, if it is a if it is a good fit for you, you'll be able to take the next step. If it's not, you just spent 20 or 30 minutes of your life to educate yourself and never have to think about it again. But I'm not promising that we're going to be right for everyone.
Very good. Well, Nick, it was a pleasure chatting with you and wish you the best of luck.
You too, Dennis. Thank you. It was fun.
All right, take care. Thank you for listening to the Goals to Results Success Secrets podcast. For more information on Nick, visit his website at smartrealestatecoach.com or reach out via email at nick@smartrealestatecoach.com. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast, visit our website at go.goalstoresults.com. If you'd like to learn more about Goals to Results, head on over to our website at goalstoresults.com.